Have you ever sat quietly in the early hours of the morning, listening to the world slowly wake up and wondered, in the rush of this life, how can I ever find true peace? Buddhism, with its stream of wisdom flowing through centuries, whispers that peace isn't something you chase outside. It's a gentle awakening that blooms from within. What is meant for you will come when your heart is open enough to receive it, just as a flower only blooms when touched by the sun's warmth. Letting go is not coldness or indifference. It's laying down the burden of clinging so you can embrace the present moment with openness and lightness. It's freedom, the kind that allows you to love without fear, to live without the constant ache of wishing life were different. Today, we step onto that path together, a path where old stories and timeless teachings open the door to the art of letting go and to dwelling fully in each moment. 1. Accepting reality as it is. Picture this: an early morning dew, still clinging to the leaves, and an old farmer standing in front of his field. This season, unlike others, there's been no rain. The soil is dry and cracked. The farmer knows he cannot summon the rain, nor command the sun to soften its heat. He can only do what is within his power: plow, the earth, plant the seeds, and keep his land ready. He does not curse the sky or the ground. He simply does his part and waits for the right time. Your life is like that field. There will be days when everything goes your way and days when it feels like the world is against you. In those moments, your natural instinct is to resist, to try and pull everything back to match the script you've written in your mind. But life never promised to follow that script. And the harder you fight it, the more exhausted you become. Radical acceptance isn't passivity or surrender. It's a state of awareness where you look reality in the eye with the clear vision of wisdom. You don't paint over it to make it prettier, nor do you hide it behind a mask of fake peace. You see what is, and from that clarity, you choose how to respond. Think of a river. You can dive in and try to block its flow, but the result will be fatigue and frustration. Or you can learn to swim with the current, adjusting your course. When you meet rocks, letting the water carry you forward. Acceptance is like swimming with the current, not because you've given up, but because you understand. Your energy is better spent on what you can change rather than wasted on what you cannot. The challenge lies in the mind's belief that if I just try harder, fight longer, things will bend to my will. But like the waves of the ocean, not a single one will obey your command. What you can do is learn to ride them using their rhythm to move further instead of letting them pull you under. Think back to a time when you lost something important, maybe a job you loved, a relationship you invested your heart in, or a dream you'd nurtured for years. At first, the pain may have been suffocating, but as time passed, you began to see that the space it left behind became room for something new, to grow a better fitting job, a healthier relationship, or a wiser version of yourself. When you accept, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" That question opens the door to wisdom instead of locking you in a loop of resentment. Here's another image to carry with you in Archer. They can focus aim with precision and release the arrow with all their skill. but the wind may change, sending it off course. A wise archer doesn't curse the wind. They observe, adjust, and shoot again. They understand that not every factor is in their control, and that's part of the game. Acceptance also means ending the habit of fighting yourself. Many people forgive others easily, but are harsh, even cruel toward themselves. They carry their mistakes, their missed opportunities, like a sack of heavy stones, and wonder why they never feel light. But just as a tree needs strong roots to grow, you need self-forgiveness to move forward. No one can soar if they keep breaking their own wings. The story of the monk and the clay bowl makes this truth clear. When his only bowl accidentally slipped and shattered, he simply smiled. Not because he didn't need it, but because he understood that from the moment it was made, it already carried the fate of breaking. Seeing life through that lens, you realize what you think you're losing is simply returning to where it belongs. The key is knowing the difference between what you can change and what you cannot. When you stop pouring your energy into resisting the unchangeable, you have more strength for actions that truly make a difference. You feel lighter, calmer, less swept away by the storms outside. When acceptance becomes a habit, you're no longer obsessed with making everything match your preferences. Instead, you learn to live fully, even when things aren't perfect. And from that place, peace begins. Not because the world is quieter, but because inside you, there is now a stillness deep enough to hold it all. So, if today you feel tired from constantly resisting what's happening, try pausing for a moment. Breathe deeply and tell yourself, I will face this. I will accept it as it is. You may be surprised to find that in the instant you stop resisting, a new kind of strength appears, a quiet strength that can carry you through any change, leading you into a life that is freer, lighter, and far more peaceful. 2. Letting go of control, flowing with life's current. There's an old story about a man walking along a narrow mountain path. Suddenly, the ground beneath him gave way. In panic, he grabbed onto a tree root jutting out from the cliff. Sweat poured down his face. His hands went numb and his arms trembled. He was convinced that if he let go, he would plunge into a bottomless abyss. So he clung tighter and tighter, until the pain in his muscles was unbearable and his breath grew short. Finally, with no strength left, he released his grip, only to find himself landing safely on a patch of solid ground just a few feet below. We live like this far too often, holding on for dear life to a job that has drained us, a relationship that has lost its warmth, or a plan that no longer fits who we are. We cling terrified that letting go means losing everything, falling into the unknown. Yet many times, the moment we release, we discover that solid ground has been under our feet all along. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up or abandoning effort. It means acknowledging that while we can plan and act with all our heart, the final outcome will always be touched by forces beyond our reach. You can love someone deeply, but you can't make them stay. You can care for your health every day. Yet, illness may still knock at your door. You can speak your truth with sincerity, but you can't guarantee others will understand it the way you intend. Life is like a winding river. When the water meets a rock, it doesn't smash itself against it trying to break through. It weaves around it, flows past it, and continues its journey. If the river spent all its energy trying to break the rock, it would run dry long before it reached the ocean. But by bending and adjusting, it reaches its destination, and along the way, it carves out graceful curves that make the journey even more beautiful. The trouble is, we humans feel safe when we think we're in control. We make to-do lists, plan every hour, and expect life to stick to our schedule. But life is not a machine. It has sharp turns, sudden storms, and unannounced detours. And when we try to force everything into a straight line, we end up exhausted and anxious. Think back to a time you planned something down to the smallest detail, only for the result to be completely different. How did you react? With anger, disappointment? Or did you eventually realize that the unexpected turn brought you somewhere even better than you imagined? Looking back, you might see that not every detour is a loss. Sometimes, it's life guiding you to where you truly belong. Letting go of control requires trust. Trust that everything has its timing. Trust that even when you can't see the full picture, the pieces are still falling into place. It's like being a gardener. You can water the plants, enrich the soil, and give them sunlight, but you can't force the blossoms to open before their season. You simply know that when the soil is moist enough and the sun is warm enough, the flowers will bloom on their own. Some people ask, if I don't control things, how will I know I'm going the right way? But the truth is, gripping the wheel too tightly can make you lose touch with the wind and the current, the very forces that can carry you forward. A wise sailor knows when to steer and when to let the wind take over. What keeps us from letting go is the fear of the empty space that follows. But emptiness is not the enemy. It's the open room where something new can enter. If your hand is clenched around a stone, how can you receive a pearl? Letting go of control doesn't mean not caring. It means caring wisely. It's putting your energy into what you can do and allowing the rest to flow with life's natural rhythm. When you stop forcing everything, you begin to notice the small yet precious moments, a quiet afternoon, an unexpected smile, a chance that arrives from nowhere. And here's the irony. When you stop gripping so tightly, life often becomes easier. You work with focus, but without the crushing pressure. You love without clinging. You live without constantly fearing the future. You start to feel as light as the river, flowing around the rocks, or the bird gliding effortlessly on the wind. There will always be things beyond your reach, but when you let go of control, they no longer drag you under. You learn to trust the process, and you discover that more often than not, what you truly need isn't to hold on tighter, but to open your hands. Because who knows? The solid ground you've been searching for might have been right beneath your feet all along. 3. The art of detachment. Letting go is spiritual freedom. There's a simple story that holds a treasure of wisdom. Long ago, in a small monastery tucked into the mountains, there lived an elderly monk who lived simply and humbly. He owned only a few essentials: a robe, a pair of worn sandals, and a plain clay bowl. He used that bowl for everything: eating rice, drinking tea, even catching rainwater. It wasn't beautiful, it wasn't valuable, but to him, it was useful and familiar. One morning, as he washed the bowl in a stream, his hand slipped. The bowl fell, struck a rock, and shattered into pieces. A young novice nearby gasped, his mind filled with all the right reactions: shock, regret, worry. But what surprised him most was that the old monk simply stood there watching the pieces drift away in the current and smiled. "Master, why are you smiling?" the novice asked. "That bowl was the only one you used every day." The monk replied gently, "I smile because it was never truly mine. From the moment it was made, it carried the destiny to break. Today is simply the day it returned to the earth." At first, the answer sounds simple. But if you look deeper, this is the essence of detachment. We often think detachment means giving up, walking away, losing. But true detachment isn't about abandoning everything. It's about living with things without being chained to them. The monk didn't throw the bowl away while it was still whole. He used it daily, appreciated it fully, but he never clung to it as part of his identity. And because of that, when it was gone, his heart stayed at peace. In life, we often do the opposite. We grip tightly possessions, titles, roles, even people, as if they are permanent parts of who we are. We forget that everything is bound by the same truth: impermanence. Sooner or later, things will change, slip away, or leave in one form or another. And when they do, if we haven't learned the art of letting go, we suffer. Think about it. Have you ever felt deep pain over losing something? Maybe a gift, a house, an old photograph. Have you felt emptiness when your role changed? Retirement, kids leaving home, a job ending? Have you felt hollow when a relationship broke apart? All those feelings come from one place: attachment. Detachment doesn't mean coldness or indifference. In fact, it lets you live more fully. When you truly understand everything is temporary, you appreciate the present moment more deeply. You love people with tenderness, not with the fear of losing them. You savor joy without rushing to lock it in forever. It's like holding a handful of sand. If you squeeze too hard, it slips away and your hand grows tired. But if you keep your palm open, the sand rests there gently. That's detachment, not crushing, not claiming ownership, just allowing things to exist naturally. Learning to let go is like training a muscle. At first, it's hard. We've been conditioned to hold on for so long. But little by little, when you look at what you're holding, whether it's an object, a title, or an emotion, and ask, does this truly belong to me? You begin to feel lighter. Detachment also opens the door to a unique kind of freedom, spiritual freedom. When you're not tied to what's outside of you, your mind is freer. You worry less about keeping or losing. You're less shaken by other people's moods, less controlled by circumstances. Joy no longer depends on life going exactly your way. It comes from peace within. The monk and his broken bowl remind us you can love use and appreciate what you have, yet still accept that one day it will change or be gone. And when that day comes, you can smile knowing you lived fully with it while it was here. and are ready to let it return to where it belongs. In the end, detachment is not rejecting the world, it's moving in harmony with it. It's a gentle reminder that you can walk more lightly when you're not carrying unnecessary weight. And it's only then that you are truly free, free to love, to live, and to smile, even when a bowl in your life shatters. 4. Trusting fate, believing in the flow of life. There's an old folk story that sounds simple on the surface, but carries a truth most of us spend a lifetime trying to understand. Long ago, in a small village tucked deep in a valley, there lived a kind old man with his only son and a single cow. That cow was their most precious possession. It gave them milk, helped plow the fields, and was their only source of income. One morning, the cow disappeared. Neighbors came by, shaking their heads in pity. "You're so unlucky," they said. "Without the cow, how will you survive?" The old man simply smiled and replied slowly, "Good or bad, who can say?" A few days later, something unexpected happened. The cow returned this time, bringing along a strong, healthy bull. The neighbors were thrilled. "What great fortune! Now you have 2 cows." But the old man gave the same answer, "Good or bad, who can say?" Not long after, while the son was trying to tame the bull, the animal kicked hard, breaking the young man's leg. Again, the villagers gathered. "What a tragedy! With his leg broken, how can he help you work?" The old man still answered, "Good or bad, who can say?" That winter war broke out. Soldiers came to the village, drafting every able-bodied young man into the army. Many families tearfully sent their sons away, not knowing if they'd ever return. But the old man's son, because of his injured leg, was spared. Only then did the villagers realize the bad luck of a broken leg had actually saved the young man's life. The story ends there, but the lesson lingers. Life teaches us that nothing is entirely good or bad if we judge it only by the moment we're in. What you see as misfortune today may turn out to be the doorway to something better tomorrow. And what feels like a blessing now may later reveal hidden challenges. This doesn't mean we should live in constant suspicion of life. Rather, it invites us to welcome both blessings and hardships as essential parts of the journey. This is the heart of trusting fate, trusting that everything happens for a reason, even if you can't see it right away. We love to label things quickly. A bit of good news arrives, we call it lucky. A loss occurs, we call it unlucky. But life is like a thick novel. You can't understand the whole story by reading just one page. Some events only reveal their true meaning a few chapters later. Think about your own life. Have you ever been disappointed by a missed opportunity, only to realize later that if you had gotten what you wanted, you wouldn't have the life you cherish today? Have you ever grieved someone's departure, only to meet someone else who brought you a peace you never knew before? Trusting the process of life isn't about blind surrender. It's about patience. It's like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it, give it sunlight, let the rain do its work, and trust that in the right time, the green shoots will appear. To do this, you have to let go of the need to know the outcome right now. You have to accept that some answers only arrive when time has ripened. You have to allow yourself to live peacefully with uncertainty. In Buddhist teaching, this is called going with conditions, flowing with the current of cause and effect without forcing or rushing to judge. It doesn't mean you stop taking action. You still do your best, but you release the need to control the final result. When you trust fate, your heart becomes lighter in the face of change. A closed door no longer sends you into panic because you know it may be making way for another to open. An unexpected event doesn't instantly get labeled as a disaster because you understand that the bigger picture has yet to unfold. And that trust will keep you steady when life doesn't follow your plan. It gives you the strength to smile even in the middle of a storm, because you know the rain will eventually stop, and sometimes that rain is exactly what's needed to awaken the seeds sleeping deep in the soil. Like the old man in the story, you can train yourself to resist slapping good or bad labels on events too soon. Let time be the storyteller, and while you wait, keep living, keep doing what's right. Keep tending to your field, both the one outside your window and the one inside your soul. Because who knows? The very thing you regret today might just be the seed for a beautiful harvest in the season to come. 5. Compassion, the healing power that reaches the root. It was early morning, the sky still draped in a soft mist when a man quietly sat outside the temple gate. His shoulders drooped, and his eyes were clouded, as if the light of life had faded from within. When the monk approached and asked what was wrong, the man replied in a trembling voice, "I'm not worthy. I've hurt the people I love. I've said things I shouldn't have said, done things I shouldn't have done. Every time I remember, it feels like my heart is being crushed. I can't forgive myself." The monk was silent for a moment, then asked gently, "Do you see that little bird on the branch? If it accidentally fell to the ground, would it break its own wings to punish itself?" The man looked up, puzzled. "No. If it did that, it could never fly again." The monk smiled. "Exactly. And you are the same. If you carry your regret like a lifelong sentence, you're breaking your own wings." We often think that self-blame is a form of atonement, but in truth, self-punishment doesn't lead to transformation. It only deepens the wound and weighs the heart down so heavily that no light can enter. Being compassionate with yourself doesn't mean excusing or ignoring your mistakes. It means having the courage to face the truth, acknowledge what happened, and choose to treat yourself with kindness, just as you would treat a friend who is hurting. Think about it. If your closest friend came to you confessing they had made a mistake and were drowning in guilt, what would you say? Would you scold them, tear them down, or would you place a hand on their shoulder and say, "It's going to be okay. Let's start again"? Then why, when it's ourselves, are we so much harsher? Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was right. Forgiveness is about putting the burden down. When you hold on to resentment, whether toward others or toward yourself, it's like clutching a burning coal, intending to throw it at someone, but in the end, you're the one who gets burned. In the same way, forgiving others isn't always about whether they deserve it. It's about freeing yourself. Resentment locks the heart. Forgiveness is the key that lets it breathe again. When you forgive, you can't change the past, but you do change your future. Compassion also carries another quiet power. It lets us see the pain behind someone else's hurtful behavior. Often the words that wound us come from a heart that's wounded too. This doesn't excuse their actions, but it helps us understand that their reaction isn't really about us. It's about their own scars. When you see that your heart softens, you no longer feel the same urge to retaliate, and you become more willing to step out of the cycle of hurt to protect your own peace. And compassion isn't just a vague feeling. It's a practice you can nurture daily. You might start by spending a few quiet moments with your hand over your heart, breathing deeply, and whispering to yourself, "May I be at peace. May I learn to love myself. May I lay this burden down." It may seem small, but that's how you plant the seed of compassion in the soil of your soul. Over time, that seed begins to sprout, and you'll notice you respond differently to situations that once triggered anger or made you close off. You'll find yourself more patient with mistakes, not just those of others, but your own as well. And here's the beautiful thing. When you learn to be compassionate toward yourself, you naturally extend it outward. You become someone others feel safe with. You stop rushing to judge or condemn, and instead you listen, you understand, and when possible, you help lift them up. Eventually, you'll see a simple truth: no one can soar with wings broken by regret and resentment. But when you mend those wings with the threads of compassion and forgiveness, you won't just fly again, you'll fly higher than before, because you are lighter, and your heart finally knows how to open to the light. 6. Meditation. The place you return to in life's storms. Picture a quiet afternoon. You're sitting beside a still lake. Someone tosses a stone into the water, and ripples spread across the surface, distorting the reflection of the sky. You can't order the water to be calm again instantly, but if you simply wait, the ripples fade on their own, and the lake once again mirrors the sky perfectly. The human mind is much like that lake. When life throws us challenges, worries, and pressures, the inner waters get stirred up. Meditation doesn't demand that you force the ripples to disappear. It's simply sitting still in silence and letting everything settle in its own time. Many beginners in meditation say, "I just can't sit still. My mind keeps running all over the place." But meditation isn't about stopping yourself from thinking. You can't tell the clouds not to drift across the sky, just as you can't tell the mind not to create thoughts. Instead, meditation is about learning to watch those clouds. Your thoughts come and go without clinging to them or pushing them away. Imagine you're sitting on the side of the road watching cars pass. Each car is a thought. You don't run after them, and you don't try to block them. You just notice, there's a red car, there's a truck, there's a motorcycle. Thoughts work the same way. They appear, you notice them, and you let them pass. When you practice like this, you begin to realize you are not your thoughts. You are the observer behind them, like the sky untouched by clouds, no matter how thick they are. In our modern lives, the mind rarely gets to rest. The phone rings, emails pile up, work demands grow, future worries creep in, past memories resurface, all blending into a constant current of noise. Meditation is like stepping out of a crowded marketplace and into a quiet garden. The world outside doesn't vanish, but you've found a still place to breathe. Even science now confirms what practitioners have known for centuries: meditation reduces stress, improves sleep, boosts focus, and nurtures emotional balance. But its deepest value isn't in the physical benefits, it's in helping you connect to the deepest, quietest part of yourself, the place untouched by life's turbulence. Starting a meditation practice doesn't have to be complicated. Find a quiet spot, sit comfortably. Close your eyes or lower your gaze and bring your attention to your breath. Notice the cool air as you inhale, the warm air as you exhale. When your mind wanders, and it will gently notice it and return to the breath. No judgment, no frustration, no rush. You can also try letting go meditation. Imagine holding a small stone in your hand representing a worry or fear. With each exhale, picture your fingers slowly opening, letting the stone fall into a river and drift away. Your hand will feel lighter, and so will your heart. When meditation becomes part of your life, change doesn't arrive like a strong wind sweeping everything away. It's more like a gentle stream, quietly nourishing dry soil. You respond more slowly to things that used to trigger anger. You stop reacting automatically to strong emotions, and instead, you find a pause, a moment, to choose your response. Meditation also helps you see the beauty in simple things. A warm cup of tea, the rustle of leaves, sunlight filtering through the branches, all become more vivid because you're truly present for them. And here's the most important part. Meditation isn't about escaping life. It's about training yourself to return to life with greater calm and clarity. In the midst of storms, meditation is the home within yourself, the place you can come back to sit down and know you are safe. So don't wait for your mind to be perfectly still before you start meditating. It's the act of sitting down in the middle of restlessness that begins the journey. Let the ripples in your mind slowly fade. And then, like the lake, after the wind has passed, you'll see the clear blue sky that's always been there, reflected in your own heart. 7. Surrendering to the moment. Living fully in the here and now. Have you ever noticed how rarely your mind is actually where your body is? Your feet might be walking down a cobblestone path, but your thoughts are replaying yesterday's conversation. You could be sitting at the dinner table, yet your mind is already racing ahead to tomorrow's to-do list. And so we move through life like hurried guests, always somewhere else, almost never here. The Buddha once taught, only the present moment is life. Yet most of us spend far too much time trapped in the past where nothing can be changed, or anxious about the future, which doesn't even exist yet. Both steal our peace. The past stirs regret. The future breeds worry. Imagine someone swimming across a river. Instead of feeling the cool water and the rhythm of his breath, he keeps looking back to see how far he's come, or straining his eyes toward the far shore, wondering if he'll ever make it. All the while, he forgets the one thing that will actually keep him afloat, just swimming, right here, right now. Living fully in the present moment doesn't mean ignoring the past or future. It simply means not letting them consume your mind, not letting them rob you of the life unfolding in front of you. There's a story of a man who once came to a Zen master burdened by life. His job was stressful. His family was in conflict. His health was failing. The master listened, then poured him a cup of hot tea, placed it in his hands, and said, "Right now, Don't think about work. Don't think about your family. Don't think about your health. Just feel this tea. The man hesitated but followed the instruction. He felt the warmth in his palms, inhaled the soft aroma, took a sip, and noticed how the flavor spread across his tongue. For a few brief seconds, the weight in his mind seemed to dissolve. The master smiled and said, "That is the present. When you are in it, suffering stops." The magic of surrendering to the moment is that it interrupts the endless stream of thoughts that create anxiety. When you focus on your breath, on your steps, on the sound of rain, or the song of a bird, the old stories in your head go quiet. They lose the power to drag you away from right now. But to truly live in the moment, you must let go of the need to control everything. The present won't always be perfect by your standards. Sometimes it's a cold, rainy morning. Sometimes it's a day stacked with work. Sometimes it's a lonely evening. If you wait for conditions to be ideal before you allow yourself to be present, you'll miss most of your life. Surrendering to the moment means accepting both the comfortable and the uncomfortable, yet staying fully here for all of it. It's like sitting on a beach. Sometimes the waves are gentle. Sometimes they crash hard, but you remain feeling the salt air, looking out at the horizon. Try something small. The next time you eat, instead of scrolling through your phone, put it down. Notice the aroma rising from your plate, the colors, the textures, the taste as it touches your tongue. You might be surprised at how rich a simple meal can feel when you're truly there for it. Or when you walk, feel your feet meeting the ground, the rhythm of your steps carrying you forward. Listen to the sounds around you. Let your eyes rest on the little things you usually pass by: a wildflower at the roadside, the shape of a drifting cloud, sunlight filtering through the leaves. Over time, you'll discover something simple but profound. Every moment holds something worth appreciating if you just stop to see it. And when you live this way, you no longer have to chase happiness, because happiness is already here in every breath. The past is like pages you've already read. It may hold lessons, but you can't rewrite it. The future is like blank pages you'll write on them, but you can't read ahead. Only the page open in front of you is where you can truly touch life, change it, and live it. When you learn to surrender to the present, you'll feel lighter. You stop carrying the weight of what if or if only. You stop running towards some imagined place in the future where you think you'll finally rest. You realize you are already there in this very moment. And here, life is happening. 8. The wisdom of emptiness. Emptiness is not loss, but opportunity. There's a paradox most of us have felt, yet few dare to face. We fear emptiness. When we lose a job, a relationship, or something familiar, our first instinct is panic. It feels as if a part of ourselves has been taken away. To fill that void, we rush to find something else: a packed schedule, a shopping spree, a new person, anything to avoid facing that unsettling silence. But in the Buddha's teaching of shunyata, emptiness, this space is not a loss. It's fertile ground, untouched soil ready for new seeds. It's an open field where light and new possibilities can enter. Imagine a room crammed with furniture. You want to bring in a new table, but there's no space. Only when you clear out the old, sometimes letting go of pieces you once cherished, can the room welcome something fresh. Our hearts and minds work the same way. When they're stuffed with attachments, expectations, and old clinging, there's no room for wisdom or peace to arise. The mistake many make is confusing emptiness with meaninglessness. They think that if nothing fills the inside, life will be cold and lonely. But the emptiness the Buddha spoke of is the opposite. It's the state where the mind is free from invisible barriers, able to see more clearly and live more truthfully. There's a classic story. A Zen master once visited a renowned scholar. While the scholar spoke endlessly about what he knew, the master quietly poured tea into his cup. The tea rose to the brim, then overflowed. But the master kept pouring. Alarmed, the scholar said, "Can't you see the cup is full?" The master smiled. "Your mind is like this cup, overflowing with opinions and preconceptions. If you want to learn something new first, you must empty it." We live in an age that glorifies full schedules, full closets, full social media feeds. But few speak about the value of empty the space to breathe, to listen to yourself, to watch a sunset without the urge to capture it for posting. When you dare to sit in emptiness, you find it's not as frightening as you thought. The mind feels lighter. The inner noise begins to dissolve, and in that stillness, a gentle clarity emerges. You start to see the difference between what you truly need and what you've been holding on to out of habit. Emptiness also teaches impermanence. Nothing lasts forever, and rather than unsettle us, this truth can set us free. If everything changes, then today's loss can be the seed of tomorrow's beginning. A door closing simply creates space, a space you can step into and explore. Those who fear emptiness try to fill it immediately, but those who understand the wisdom of shunyata know how to wait. They allow the empty space to remain like a field resting after the harvest until the right season comes for planting again. Sometimes it's in those pauses that you hear the truest voice of your heart. A voice often quiet, but unmistakably clear, because it's no longer drowned out by fear craving or outside noise. So, if you find yourself in an empty season after a loss, an ending, or simply feeling adrift, try shifting your question. Instead of asking, "Why did I lose this?" ask, "What is this space inviting in?" Instead of rushing to fill it, allow yourself to sit within it like a patient farmer waiting for the rains. Because maybe, just maybe, the emptiness you fear is the greatest gift life could give you. The gift of opportunity, of freedom, and of a beginning you never imagined. If today's reflection has touched your heart and helped you see emptiness through new eyes, not as a loss, but as an opening, then I invite you to stay connected with us. Subscribe to Buddhism Seeds so that each day a small seed of peace and wisdom can be planted in your mind. If you found value here, please like this video, share it with someone who may need this message, and leave a comment below. What kind of emptiness are you facing right now, and what opportunities might be hidden within it? Because sometimes Just one honest share from you can help someone somewhere in the world feel a little less alone and find the hope to begin again.